When darkness falls, when the shadows become dark and black, the silent pall of evil settles upon the earth. Who dares to search? Who dares to see what walks in the night? If you dare, welcome to the Karate Warlock Show, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, it's Friday, September 23rd, 2022, in the year of our Lord, ladies and gentlemen. I'm trying to organize in here. I keep finding, like, well, where's that missing issue? Where's that? And so I'm going through boxes, I'm finding all kinds of stuff. So I need to get things organized. Okay, this box or two is music magazines dedicated to music. This one's dedicated to, 1950s, old fan magazines about Elvis and all that. And then over here is the monster magazines, and here are the creepy. Anyway, things have gotten very confused in here. So I'm finding some cool stuff. Let's take a look at it, ladies and gentlemen. I bet you've never seen one of these. Well, maybe you have. It's the only one I've ever seen. It's remember the Johnson Smith Company? They had those ads with all the little gag gifts you could get. The whoopee cushions and all that. This is an actual. They said you can order a catalog from us. Well, this is the catalog that you would get. Circulation now 200,000 copies monthly. This is the May 1935 issue, so this is probably if you had a pulp magazine with a Johnson Smith ad, you would send off for this, and this is what you'd get. Yeah, I guess they even sold tires. But anyway, let's see what we've got here. You can stop drinking whiskey. For only $2.95, you can get an armadillo. So you remember these ads in the comics? Well, this is the whole magazine of those ads. The Magic Flute. A midget Bible. They gotta have religion too, right? Don't expect midgets to not be able to go to heaven. Oh, what is that? It's a toilet ashtray, ladies and gentlemen. That's always important. Very sophisticated. Makes a good first impression on a date when they see that you indeed have a toilet ashtray too. Only 10 cents. You could get this dancing skeleton. The smallest one-tube receiving set. I was just thinking about tubes. I just moved this big 1950s television down from the attic into the room over here. And I'm thinking, they won't let. I like old televisions. I just like how they look. Yeah, flat screen technology is great and everything. But, they're saying they won't let kids learn about CRT now, cathode ray tubes, right? And so if they don't let kids learn about CRT in school, who's going to fix my old 1950s and 60s television sets? So I say let CRT education into schools so kids can learn about cathode ray tubes. Actually, this might be a problem with Ukraine. I just remembered this. All the old jukeboxes and televisions and radios, they all are tube technology, right? And it gives you that warmer sound, and record collector snobs, intelligent people basically, know that tube technology has a warmer sound. It just sounds better. But they don't make those tubes in the United States anymore. You know where they make them? They make them in Russia. So that really sucks, because that means that maybe, we may not get those tubes anymore. That's the real problem with the whole Ukraine situation. The gun that got Dillinger. Yeah, man. This is be a He-Man again. Got fortune-telling cards. Secrets of the Black Art. Yeah, so how have you guys been? Today is a wonderful day. We've got We've got the Donald Trump rally happening right here in Wilmington, North Carolina, ladies and gentlemen. Baby alligators make interesting pets. Shit. And there's baby alligator there. See, you can get it for $1.50, which was a princely sum in 1935. Oh, I guess this is a model train here, electric train, for $0.25, man. 1935 model, latest technology. Okay, simple tricks of self-defense, all this stuff. But okay, now the pages. Oh, damn my neck. Oh shit. The pages become blue, so this must be the novelty catalog. This is where it's gonna get good, right? How to love and be loved. Piles, you don't want that. Jumping fleas. Man, I'm probably not doing a good job showing you this. I used to do a magazine called The Sophisticate, and I would, oh shit, I would make Xerox copies from this catalog, and I would use some of these ads in there. Okay, this is teaching you how to dance. There's all kinds. You can get your own crystal radio detector, 25 cents. Yeah, get your own radio, make it real cheap. Mushrooms earn money for you. Oh my gosh, there's some pretty politically incorrect stuff in here. The funny chatterbox. Just pull the tape and it talks to you. It says, "Hello, sweetheart, come up and see me sometime," etc. How about that? Oh, look at that. I actually have that. I didn't realize it was that old. It's really this small. It's in the bathroom downstairs. It's a little hoochie coochie dancer. It's captivating, tantalizing. What? Touch a lover, she dances, and how? Brain brighteners. See, there's lots of great clip art in this Johnson Smith catalog now. Perhaps you have a Johnson Smith catalog from a different time period. We need some music in here. What is going on? There's no music playing? How can I? Oh, okay, we'll correct this. Every day, the situation becomes a little brighter, and we get a little closer to being organized here. Protect your home. See, it's almost $10 to buy that gun. Yeah, did you realize that the Johnson Smith Company used to sell real guns? All these plants you can get, Japanese kudzu vine. I think kudzu, I didn't realize that was from Japan. Anyway, that stuff's spreading all over Georgia and some of the southern states. They can't stop it. Maybe it first came through mail order from the Johnson Smith catalog and it infected us. There's your Chinese good luck ring. Make this your big year. And all this cool stuff. There's a cigarette squawker. Serpent's eggs. Horned toads. Police victims of joke auto bomb. Cops almost frightened out of wits. Yeah, you can make plant in a police car and make them think, oh my gosh, yeah, this is like supplying terrorists with ideas. Oh, it's comical motto rings. Look at that. What do they say? Don't rush me, big boy. So's your old man. You hear that like in the old Art Gang comedies, right? Kiss me again, I'm still conscious. When do we eat? That one says. Will ya, huh? And if you can read this, you are too darn close. Oh, an automatic pistol cigarette case. That should win friends and influence people. You pull a gun on someone, oh, I'm just getting a cigarette. There's your auto scare bomb, yeah. Damn. All kinds of wonderful stuff you can get. New style can opener, man. Boys, throw your voice. You can, with the ventrilo. Lots of ventriloquist stuff. The Mysteries of Freemasonry. Contains all the degrees conferred in a master's lodge. Yeah, why join the Masons and have to work your way up to the 33rd degree? We can just get this book from Johnson Smith, right, and know everything. Right. Joy buzzer. Big hunting knife. Yeah, they call this kind of thing ephemeral. People, they don't expect people to save this. 1935 was a ways back. And so this shouldn't even exist. Blank cartridge pistols. Solar telescope. You get everything you possibly could need. These books will tell you the secrets. Hypnotism. And you can get your crystal balls, and all that stuff. Oh my gosh. Monitoring the Trump rally. The poo-poo or whoopee cushion. Wow. Yeah, that's cool. You thought in the 1930s people weren't cool. Look, there's your Daisy water pistol. There's another poo-poo cushion you could get. And you could make counterfeit money too. The fan dance, little animated strip tease for you, ladies and gentlemen. Will it rain tomorrow? Ask the Magic Rose. Oh, look at that's cool. Buck Rogers 25th century rocket pistol. Man, I wish I had one of those. If you've got imitation gold teeth, that would go over well nowadays. People like that, all the rappers. If you've got a more modern, Racine, Wisconsin, if you've got a more modern version of the Johnson Smith catalog from the 50s or 60s, that would be cool for you to show on your YouTube channel, ladies and gentlemen. You ever heard of Angwa Magazine? Now, that's Lily Christine. She was a stripper out of, I guess I could call her a burlesque queen. Sounds a little bit better than stripper. But yes, she was a stripper out of New Orleans. I don't think she lived very long, but she was very beautiful. And she was called the Cat Girl. But this is Angwa #1. And it's got to be from the 90s, because that's when, as I was telling you a few episodes back, cool culture just exploded. All of a sudden, everybody was making these great magazines. Probably people like me, because I was making a magazine in the 90s too. I was inspired growing up by famous monsters and Castle of Frankenstein and the Monster Times, and so I wanted to make my own magazine. And when it became possible through the wonders of the Xerox machine to make your own magazine, I started doing that, and a lot of people were doing magazines back then. Good times begin with Dr. Pepper. It's a light and lively taste. It's the taste that you'll cheer. Listen to Groucho Orloff, Donna Lauren, and Dick Clark, and we won't steer you wrong on that. It's the quicker pepper-upper. But, ad mats from old movies. And they've got book reviews, they've got pictures I can't show you, nudity. They've got an interview with Jesse Franco. Yeah. And stuff. Remember Jerry Lee Lewis? They got Japanese movies that have nudity that we can't show you. Here's a whole article interview with Ruby Ray Moore, who was a friend of my friend Tom that went out to Hollywood. I never met Rudy Ray Moore, but he was good friends with him, and he even came and performed at a house party of his brother in Arlington, Texas. But apparently he was very conservative and was a very solid Republican, Rudy Ray Moore, because he was a veteran. You know, he was aligned politically with my friend. There was a movie made a couple years ago on Netflix with Eddie Murphy playing him. For those of you that don't know who Rudy Ray Moore is, he is hilarious. The first time I heard Rudy Ray Moore, oh my God, I couldn't. It was one of the most painful laughing experiences, because he's reading. It was a Christmas album, and it's just the use of the word, the MF word, constantly was really funny. At least at that point in the late 80s, because it hadn't been, the shock of it hadn't been worn out by all the rap and hip hop. But he's reading the night before Christmas, and it's like, and all through the motherfucking house, not a creature was stirring, not even that motherfucking mouse. That was just so funny to me. When you put inappropriate language into Christmas or wholesome things, it's funny. It's just like, I don't know, like someone farting in church. It's not supposed to be funny. It's really not, but it's funny. You can't help but laugh that some guy did that. Like when it's real silent. I mean, it's just like, that's what guys laugh at. That's why we love the Three Stooges. Angwa, issue 3. So where's issue 2? I perhaps don't have issue 2. There's Betty Page on the back. Speaking of Betty Page, Comic Crypt of Castle Hills in San Antonio sent me on a quest. He was showing a few episodes back all his Dave Stevens comics, and I said, I think I have 99% of the comics he's showing. That would be cool to pull them all out and have them all together in a box. So I went through all these independents, and I said, I'm missing some. Then I realized I'd filed some in a box labeled Undergrounds, although they weren't technically underground. Yeah, I showed some Gearhead magazines a few episodes back, and I found some more since then, because I thought I had all of these. Why don't I have? Here's an interview with Tura Satana, who was I think half Japanese or maybe fully Japanese stripper that Russ Meyer hired to be the main villainess / heroine, depends on how you take the movie, Faster Pussycat Kill Kill. I mean, objectively, she wasn't the hero, but anyone watching the movie are rooting for these killer stripper women. Yeah, you know, just amazing. Where else you see a... What movie is that from? Oh, that's Ghost in the Invisible Bikini. What guy in 1965 or 66 would not have gone to see a movie called Ghost in the Invisible Bikini? Yeah. This is the... So I'm trying to get these type of books. I need to have in a certain box. Preferably, these should be in the same box that Castle of Frankenstein is in. So I'm going to put these over here on top of this box of creepy magazines. And here's the issue of Dynamite. And I just had a box of... There it is. I need to file this with the Dynamite magazines. Dynamite was a magazine you used to get from your teacher back in the 70s. And I guess, you know, this is barely out of the 70s. Empire Strikes Back came out in 1980. But it was a magazine that kids loved back then, and I was a kid then. Dynamite. Let's see. Dynamite was a huge hit, and then other people imitated it with Bananas, Smash. There was an Electric Company magazine. I have 2 copies of this fucking issue. Yeah, here. They usually had comic book coverage in these magazines. There was this imitation called Smash. I showed these a couple of years ago on my channel. I should go and show them again. Here's Bananas, the other imitation. But then Marvel had to get in, and they figured, we're letting these people make all this money, why don't we put out our own? And it was called Pizzazz. How about that? See, there's things that are misfiled, like this is Comics Collector. That's what She-Hulk's supposed to look like, for those of you that actually like that TV show. And then there's Hot Rod magazines. Those should go in a separate box. Man, I feel like shit. Okay, comics. Okay, and this should go with the car books. Lowrider. Sometimes I would get a copy of Lowrider. What a degenerate I am. These are modern Hot Rod books. Modern January 1992. To me, that's like yesterday. Okay, what else we got? Oh, this is interesting. Early 90s. Very early 1990s. This DJ I know, named Mark Ridlin, who shares a lot of interest out of Dallas. He calls me and tells me, hey, there's this guy I know that collects toys, and he's selling selling everything. It's like, I need to, give you, let you in touch with him. He's some guy I've known for years. So I meet this guy, Eddie Holland, and he was about my age, and he had all the toys from the 1970s that I loved, but he had never stopped buying toys. I stopped buying toys, but kept buying old toys, but I stopped at a certain point and didn't go past that. But he kept buying, or he was buying the new tiny little G.I. Joes and He-Man and everything that became popular. He just kept buying it all. So I went to his house, some rental house. The entire house was toys. But specifically, he was into Japanese toys, because when he was a little kid, he met some other kid that had these Japanese toys that were about the size of an Evel Knievel action figure. And they were on motorcycles, and he said, what are these? And his friend called them cricket motorcycle men. In reality, the Japanese name for them was Kamen Rider, or Masked Rider is what it means in English, Kamen Rider. And what they would do, they had these really cool helmets, and they were cyborgs and all this. And they would have, every year, they'd introduce a new Kamen Rider, and then you'd have a whole bunch of them, and then they'd all team up together like a Justice League. And that was put out by Toei Studios. And there's another big superhero in Japan. It's kind of like the Japanese Superman, is Ultraman. Well, this guy, Eddie Holland, had a public access show on Dallas TV, and I got tapes of it. I loved it. He co-hosted this show, and it was called Monster Attack Team, which is what the squadron that went off fighting against monsters, or kaiju, in the Ultraman show was called Monster Attack Team, or MAT. As it was called that, and it was, Eddie Holland hosted it with his friend Joe Riley, who was a big bearded Irishman. And Joe Riley was a big Ultraman guy, and Eddie Holland was a big Kamen Rider guy. And it was just a talk show, and they would show clips from Japanese superhero stuff and Godzilla, and it was so amazing. And this is a few years before Power Rangers came to American television, which was actually, the initial Power Rangers show was a show called Zoo Ranger. And of course, Power Rangers was kind of ruined for the American audience, because whenever they took their helmets off, they hired these really awful American actors to play them, and they changed the music and dubbed it and put in cheesy, I don't know. If you were a little kid in the 1990s, it was probably amazing. And the unfortunate thing is now, whenever you see any of these amazing Japanese shows, people say, "Oh, that's Power Rangers." Well, you know, that's the breaks. So I was trying to get his copies of as many VHS cassettes as I could from Eddie Holland. It's like, I gotta have that. And he was also really into Kiss. In fact, I bought my Kiss pinball machine from him. So anyway, they had a great public access show. I have it here somewhere. Maybe I could put it up. If Eddie Holland doesn't put it up himself on YouTube, it really needs to be preserved. Joe Riley kind of had a falling out with Eddie Holland, and I was hanging out with, I was friends with both of them, but Joe Riley went off and did a different public access show called The Hypnotic Eye that I helped with. But not only did they do that public access show, they also put out this newsletter, Monster Attack Team. Now, that looks like actual genuine Japanese art, but if you look there carefully, there's Joe Riley's signature. Joe, I've got artwork on paintings on the wall. Joe Riley, I've talked about him multiple times on this show. This is the spring 1992 issue. I guess they folded it and sent it out to people, but this is one I got right from them. But this is what it looked like. That cool original art. It was so, that's another piece of Joe Riley's art. The thing about seeing these, realizing it wasn't just Japanese monsters, Godzilla, you know, we knew Mothra and all that. But what, you know, we weren't in the United States, as familiar with the superhero stuff. And, you know, in growing up in the 70s, look at this Joe Riley art. Growing up in the 70s, I saw all this terrible adaptations of the Spider-Man. And, I mean, the Hulk was a good series, but it wasn't really a very good adaptation of the comic. It was just a good TV series because they copied the formula of The Fugitive. And it was fun, but it was not the, you know, but... in Japan, they went balls to the wall with their superhero stuff. In fact, they did a Spider-Man series over there. It wasn't that faithful to the American version, but the suit, the Spider-Man action, you know, was better than what we got here in this country. And there's one episode where he fights the Thing. The Thing is a bad guy. It's very obviously based on the Thing. But anyway, that's issue 1. Issue 2, they got slicker. Look at this. That's one of the Kamen Riders. He's one of the more modern ones from the 90s. He was called, I think, Sheen Kamen Rider. So, if you live in Hawaii or San Francisco, this stuff was shown on local, probably UHF stations, because there's such a large Japanese population there. Yeah, there's another piece of Joe Riley art. You'd think that's Japanese art, but you look there, it's got his signature. I don't know how many copies there are out there of these. It's a little poster, I guess you get with it. And here's an insert Joe Riley poster of a Kamen Rider guy. Yeah, and then later Joe Riley would do illustrations for my magazine, The Sophisticate, and when he started his Hypnotic Eye TV show, he said he wanted to do a TV version of the magazine I was doing. So the Hypnotic Eye was influenced by my magazine, The Sophisticate. Okay, looks like I have 2 copies of this issue. Now they're really getting fancy. Now we're on issue 3. It's starting to look really kick-ass. That illustration is not by Joe, it's by a guy named Kevin Grays. So, you know, people like Meyer Greenblatt, who lives out near San Francisco, or in San Francisco, I mean, there's going to be stores where you can go and buy this is when they made it like an American Ultraman, or I don't know, it was, they had a whole new toy line that came out in the 90s, right about the time that Power Rangers started, you know. Anyway, this is Japanese cinema, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, it was starting to get bigger and better. And then, oh, you know, why there isn't Joe Riley art in these issues is by that point their friendship had kind of fallen apart. So, it was spring '94, issue 4. Yeah, so there's no Joe art in here. But it's still a cool looking magazine. At this point, it's all Eddie Holland. There's that. They were copying the King Kong movie, Godzilla and Megalon, but it's an unfortunate choice of those buildings. Especially how there's damage to the building there. It's like kind of... But that was before all that happened. That was in the late 70s. Oh, then there was Kamen Rider Black RX. Forgot about him. And, of course, Ultraman. Anyway, here's another one. Issue 5 is, it's getting thick. It's sealed with tape. It's just, I don't know. Maybe you can find these on eBay. I don't know how many were printed. I really have no idea. I was just in the right place at the right time, and I knew the guys putting this out. And I think after a while they were distributed through, they might have gotten, looks like this is a little slicker, like this is, I think maybe they got distributed through Diamond at a certain point. This is issue 6, it's $7.99. It's possible, I mean, I've seen magazines in comic book stores that were far less quality than this. This is, I think this actually did get distribution. I'm thinking. And here's the last issue I have. It's issue 7. So we're all over the map today. We looked at Johnson Smith catalog, and I'll see they're getting advertisements now. Anyway, haven't talked to Eddie Holland in years. I think I'm friends with him on Facebook, but I never look at Facebook. This is the official publication of the Ultraman Quest Club when they put out the from Studio City, California. This is when they started putting out those Ultraman toys. They had that show on television. This is a great John Wayne cover. Gun World. Sex in the Single Action. For Vietnam, modern sniper training. You know, I ought to make a color copy of this and give it to the guy that runs the barbecue place a block from here, because the whole place is decked out in John Wayne memorabilia, and nobody's got this. And he's got a gun store next door. Maybe he'd put it in there. So that needs to go in the He-Man box, along with these boxing magazines. I got all kinds of shit here. What the fuck did I just see? Oh, I'm sorry, I was looking at this. I thought that said prostitutes. I thought, be healthy like prostitutes, ladies and gentlemen. These boxers, man, or are they wrestlers? Oh, these are wrestlers. That doesn't look like a boxer. This is, oh, it has wrestling news too. This is the kind of shit, yeah, he's putting his ear back together. This is the kind of stuff you used to be able to get at half-price books. Luckily, there's one not too far from me, but it's too far right now in Joe Biden's world because of the evil Putin. Gas is too expensive, right? Okay, here's another one. Look at that guy. Yeah, I wish I wish boxers, wrestlers still look like that. They really look like they could be heavyweight with the killer instinct. Long live the new king. I wish that was the King of England instead of Prince Charles, don't you? He'd be a lot better. Imagine a royal member of the royal family that wrestles. Yeah, this is the guy that should be King of England. He would ride right into battle. They need to have royalty like King Arthur again, right? That's then I'd respect the royalty. Bring King Arthur back, man. Sonny Liston, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my goodness. Wonderful stuff. Oh, what have we got here? It's Paper Magazine. This is very recent. It's from July of 2001. Well, this was actually before 9/11, so I guess it's older. It's Planet of the Apes meets the swimsuit issue with Lisa Marie Timber. Oh, is this when they made that shitty Planet of the Apes movie? Probably. Tim Burton. Yeah, that's when he lost me, when he made that bad Planet of the Apes remake. I thought it was a tribute to the... Was she like a Nova character in the Planet of the Apes remake? I can't even remember. That movie was so bad. Yeah, that's what that is. But anyway, it just... that's why I got this magazine, because of the Planet of the Apes. But it's just a modern magazine. I prefer magazines like this. High Fidelity from July 1972. All about the new quadraphonic stereos, right? That's my kind of illustration. Fuck. So this is a Zoo Ranger magazine. It's Japanese. Before it was brought over to this country and became Power Rangers. This is how it was marketed to the tiny tots over there. This is pretty cool. Oh, we need to see how. I'm kind of monitoring Right Side Broadcasting because the big Trump rally is tonight. Let's see what's going on.
And what about you? What's your name? And you're from here as well?
Yeah, I'm Tony and Corvi. I'm from Wilmington, actually Leland, North Carolina.
And what is it from President Trump that you want to see today?
I want to see the same consistent message he's brought year after year after year, and I think his consistency on
Here's
America First.
Rich Halegla's Comic Art and Graphics Gallery.
Do you feel like the current administration...
There are already people filing in. It's going to start tonight at 6 o'clock Central. Right now it is...
Continue this conversation by bringing in Lieutenant Governor of Texas.
Because, we go to so many of them.
Pause. No, not pause.
It's like going to a rock concert. Everybody is happy. Everybody is salute.
Anyway, this is a catalog. From when, I don't know. But they're selling original artwork. And of course, I can't afford the artwork, but it's fun to look and dream that maybe you could buy a page of artwork. Man, that's pretty cheap. Of course, this is old. It's like you got a page of Jack Kirby art from the Hulk #5, and it's going for $500. How old is this thing? That seems like it should be more than that. A little bit. Can you imagine owning an actual Charles Schulz 1950s comic strip? Or are these starting bids? Maybe they're starting bids. Yeah, there's a Vampirella painting from a Vampirella cover, and these are Warren art. I think they're... well, that one's Vampirella. I know that. And here it tells you here. That's from Creepy. I've got all the magazines, but owning the artwork, what are they going for? The Vampirella This is $7.50, but is that a starting bid? I don't know how this works. These I think these are just the prices that you would pay. But, you know, I got 2 copies of that issue. That's issue 4. Here's another one. There's a piece of Dick Tracy, not Chester Gould, but one of the more modern artists that's on the wall of the local newspaper. They've got several comic strips framed. Yeah, this is selling some Dick Tracy art. Well, oh, it's all Dick Tracy art in here. This must have been when that Warren Beatty movie came out. I don't know. Comics Art and Graphics Gallery, Cincinnati, Ohio. Are they still around? I wish I could. Oh, magnifying glass. I'll find a year on this yet. $1991. I guess that was a while back. And the value of money has changed. I couldn't have come up with $750 back. Well, this is number 7 from May of 1992. That's Basil. I believe that's Basil Gogos, but it's a painting of that real shitty King Kong from the '76 movie. That was a Famous Monsters cover, Fu Manchu. And that's Famous Monsters 65. It's got a horizontal crease in it by Vic Prezio. It's $1,800. What is that? Some Jack Davis art. I should show you. There's no point in looking at the prices. It's just frustrating. Well, I'm looking anyway. What? You could get this Superman comic strip, original art, with this Cisco Kid art. The pair for $400. Shit. Oh my gosh. What? Dick Ayers Human Torch splash page from Men's Adventures. $1,500. The Human Torch going up against the dinosaur. Are you kidding me? The great thing about these books is that it gives you the black and white original art. You know, then you can Xerox it and put it in your fanzine, right? You kind of have access, kind of, to the original art. This is this is the, see, I gotta put these all with my comic book magazines. Oh, I'll show this for comic cover by Jack Bradbury. Unbelievably rare example of Disney comic cover art. Previous to the finding of this, and a small number of others, no known examples of this era had ever been seen by collectors. It's from Walt Disney's Comics and Stories 123. In near perfect condition, 11 by 7 by 16. It's $3,000. I'm showing this for Graphic Man and then any other cool people that like Walt Disney. But you know, you can. It's easy to beat yourself up, you know. You could look at an old Overstreet guide from 1976 and see that Amazing Fantasy number 15 sells for $75 in mint condition, but then you go back, get your time machine and go back to 1976 and realize how tough it is to come up with that $75 because the value of money has changed. Oh well. I showed these to Meyer Greenblatt, but I think it was off when we were off the air after the Four Color Fossil show. These were my older brothers. I looked them up about 20 years ago and found some on eBay, but I don't remember what they were called. They are little spacemen. They're little Martians. They're like little in-scale. You know, you have the army men and tanks that are this size. Well, this is a little spaceman. So, if you know, the manufacturer, the battery's bad on this. There's some writing on the bottom. I think there is. They came in different colors. This is a purple one. Like this is green. No, that's not his dick. That's a weapon. Looks a little perverted. Someone's got to know what these are. Someone among the 300 people that watch an episode. 200 to 300 people watch episodes. It's not like I'm some big YouTube influencer, although people are starting to buy stuff they see on this show. And I already have 2 people interested in buying some of my paintings. I showed some of the paintings the other day, and one of you wants to commission a piece of black and white art from me, and that's cool. And I gotta cut these branches off the. But how can I don't. My arms aren't big enough to box with God. I mean, my arms aren't big enough to reach those branches that are rubbing across. That's the rubbing across the roof of the tiki bar downstairs. Okay. Yeah, my wife says this will sell. You know, someone will want this painting I did of Morrissey as a saint or Jesus. I did it for an old girlfriend. She says she likes it, so if it doesn't sell, well, maybe she wants it. I don't know. Just rather get rid of it. I'm not a Morrissey fan. Okay, so here's a rock and roll magazine. I think it's out of England. Is it? Yes, out of London. 3 Kentish Town Road, London. What the hell does NW1 mean? It's an occasional journal from Rock On. This is a companion magazine to Rock On magazine. It's a topless band. I think they were called the Ladybirds. Or maybe there was more than one topless girl band. But it's got like articles about Brian Jones, clippings. It's just, you know, another one of these cool magazines with old ads and reviews of music. And the other night I showed that a monster magazine that was put out by this guy here, Ron Haydock. Big ad for the Trashmen, Surfing Bird. They were a great band, Trashmen. Haunted House by Gene Simmons. That was look that song up if you don't know it. Gene Simmons of the band Kiss named himself after Gene Simmons, the rockabilly guy that did that song Haunted House. Yeah, just a whole spread of cool ads for old bands. Look at that. Yeah. New multicolored Munsters heads. This is what's on every kid's mind today. Ghostly, funny monster heads, packed 1,000 per bag with 10 displays, $9 per thousand. For $9, you could get 1,000 Frankenstein heads. $250 per bag with display cards, $4 right for samples. Get on our mailing list. Over 15 years in bulk industry, modern coin manufacturing. I wonder if someone could find a warehouse find of Frankenstein heads. That would be great. This guy, Barry Sadler, that did the Ballad of the Green Berets, he later wrote a series of pulp paperbacks, the whole series called Casca, the Eternal Mercenary. He was supposed to be Casca was the Roman soldier that pierced Jesus' side to see if he was still alive on the cross. And he was cursed to be alive forever and fight in every battle, every war that happened. So there are stories of Casca in Vietnam and World War II. It's just every different book, he's in a different war. Kind of like Conan the Barbarian. Robert E. Howard wrote about different points in Conan's life, and like one story in Weird Tales, he'd be a teenager. Another one, he'd be a king. He'd be much older. Another one, he'd be in his 30s. He'd be a pirate. And when they did the paperbacks, they kind of took all these stories and put them in chronological order. Robert E. Howard didn't really mean for them to be in chronological order. It was just kind of like, here's another incident that happened in this historical figure's life, you know, when he fought this giant snake, or anyway. What else we got here? Yeah, I'm finding all these monster magazines. Chiller Theater. What year is this from? $1995. Sure is. This visually inside is not as the cover's cool, although I would have made the logo bigger. I mean, the painting's great. The back covers, I look at it from an artistic standpoint, and this is not real appealing. I like all the text. I want to read, but Michelle Bauer. Remind me who Michelle Bauer is. Who is she? The Vampire Vixens from Venus. Oh, some modern person. Some character from the 90s. Let's see. Yeah, the layout of this is not a... It's not... doesn't look like a Warren magazine. There's an article on Barbara Lay, who, if you remember in Vampirella, there were a few issues where they had an actual woman on the cover, and her name was Barbara Lay. And I think the plan was for her to play Vampirella in a movie that was never made. There was a plan for Hammer Studios to do a Vampirella movie. It never happened because Hammer Studios disappeared. Now there was a woman in Spain that's really the true Vampirella that Jose Gonzalez used a model to pose for him when he was painting those Vampirella covers, and I've seen, you know, photos of her in that documentary that's on YouTube about Jose Gonzalez, and because she would have been great, but who knows if she can act. There's a Fantastic Four book. I keep seeing people showing it online. I realize, they're getting early copies to review. It's done by Alex Ross, and I want to get that. It's his interpretation of the Fantastic Four, like anything he does, is so cool. But when he draws Reed Richards, he's not drawing this modern Reed Richards that has the beard. It's the classic 1960s Reed Richards, but he looks exactly, apparently he sculpted little figures, and he moved them around to get the lighting just right. But I think what he was doing with Reed Richards is, I bet he had a box set of Land of the Giants, the Irwin Allen show, and I bet he was freeze framing and using Gary Conway, who was also I Was a Teenage Frankenstein, but he was in Land of the Giants, the lead guy in that. It looks just like him in this Fantastic Four book. It's a book that's coming out. Cool and Strange Music. This one's dedicated to Moog music. And for a while, it was really cool, all these, to be into all of these old like people like Juan Garcia Esquivel. Apparently he passed away in 2002. That must have been about the time. He was one of the greats. And Perez Prado, and it was just, people started realizing these old records in the thrift stores are just wild and have insane stereo separation, and they're so much fun to listen to. So people started hunting down thrift stores. There's Eartha Kitt, who played Catwoman in the 3rd season of Batman. So that became something for hipsters to be into, and I was into it before all these magazines started coming out. But this one has about Wendy Carlos, who now Wendy Carlos started as Walter Carlos, and this is one of the early examples of sex changes. But Walter Carlos did the music for A Clockwork Orange, or was she Wendy Carlos at that point? I don't know. I think it was right about the time, early 70s, that Clockwork Orange came out, that change was made. Here's the Journal of Pop Culture, Hitch. It says it's got a free CD inside, which I must have taken out and put somewhere. But it's got the Firesign Theater. It's got Mamie Van Doren. I don't know who Aphex Twin or twins are, so that. But it looks, mostly it looks like it's right up my alley. I've got Twisted Christmas movies. Looks like about 90% of the stuff in here looks interesting. There are reviews of music. Let's see if I've heard of these bands. Some of this is more recent. Yeah, this is... I don't know who these people are. Yeah. Yeah, I was really into Mamie Van Doren. She is ultra liberal. I would see her Facebook post, and it's like, oh shit. Echo, The World of Bizarre Video. This is number 18. Yeah, The Lost Films of Betty Page. These were found years ago. But for a while I was real excited. Teaserama and Varieties, you could see Betty Page in color. But now they're on DVD and Blu-ray. And I love this ad. Those are Mexican movies that came over, were dubbed into English. They're lots of fun. So this is into exploit. It doesn't look really good inside. It doesn't have great production design, but the subject matter is great. Here's an early ad for Something Weird Video. Mike Vraney unfortunately passed away a few years ago. Yeah, that's cool. I found a bunch of comics just a minute ago in a box with other magazines. That's where I'm eventually going to find my first Power Girl All-Star Comics. Somewhere. It's going to appear in some weird spot. I found this Captain and the Kids comic. It was just in with nothing. Candy, America's Favorite Teenage Girl. There's Miracle Aid. Let's see. This magazine is not in good shape. Look, yeah, man, not too good. But it's all there. It would probably get about a 9.6, I would think, more than likely, ladies and gentlemen. And here's a beat-up copy of Astonishing Tales number 32. I don't know if I have more than one copy of this or not. Sure enough. The Man Who Sold the World. That's from, you can tell when the writers are young guys and are using David Bowie song titles as the title of the story, man. Who was that guy? Let's take a look. Slaughter in the Subway. Bill Mantlo. Oh my gosh. Here's the giant 1976 edition of the Guinness Book of World Records. This was always the most popular book in the school library when I was a kid. All the boys wanted to read this or a Peanuts paperback. Of course, kids don't even know about this anymore, and no kid even knows who Charlie Brown is anymore. But do you remember this? Right about that same time in the 70s, this was really popular, the Book of Lists. They even put out I wonder if it survived the move. I had a roll of, a box that was a Book of Lists toilet paper. This is interesting. Night of the Living Dead was made. They didn't copyright it properly, but it was co-written by John Russo, and there was a fight over who owned it. So the words "Living Dead" were given to John Russo, and that's why Dawn of the Dead is not Dawn of the Living Dead. It's just Dawn of the Dead, and then the third one was Day of the Dead instead of Day of the Living Dead. In the meantime, John Russo got a film deal to do an alternate sequel to Night of the Living Dead called Return of the Living Dead, and I read this book before the Return of the Living Dead movie came out. It's nothing like this book. But so Night of the Living Dead came out, and then the timeline splits like in those Marvel movies. There's a Dawn of the Dead is one potential future that comes from Night of the Living Dead, and Return of the Living Dead is another one that, according to the other guy, that they just quarreled over who owned what, I guess. So that's a story behind why it's not Dawn of the Living Dead, but you probably already know that. This is something I need. Sure, man. It's kind of a cool looking mid-century thing I bought somewhere. Why it's in the comic book room, I don't know. Here's Genie, the Conjurers magazine. I bought tons of books about magicians and hardcover magicians books and magazines made for magicians from an estate sale. I've told you that story before. I don't know if I should repeat it. This whole closet was filled. This guy had been a magician. And here's all these books on how to do all the tricks and everything, and these magazines, and I was trying to buy as much of it as I could. But I must have eaten at some restaurant that morning or the day before that did not agree with me, where they didn't wash their hands properly. All of a sudden, I just I had a Joe Biden experience, and but I still took all the books to the the cashier and bought them and left. I don't know if there were little drops and cut to the car. Oh, that was horrible. Yes, I pooped my pants, ladies and gentlemen. There's a song by the Fugs, F-U-G-S. They were a hippie band, but they were a very shockingly offensive hippie band. And they have a song that's done like a 50s rock and roll song called "I Shit My Pants." It's a good song. Look up "I Shit My Pants" by the Fugs, ladies and gentlemen. It'll appreciate your family will appreciate it when you play it on Thanksgiving when all the family's gathered. Okay, what do we got here? Steel Pier Amusement City at Sea. I really have been entertained, all the people on YouTube. I salute you, all of you people that go around and record inside dark rides and spook houses at different carnivals. Just type in dark ride and I get to see inside all these dark rides that I'll maybe never get to go see. Okay, this is Atlantic City. And oh, look, this is 1960. Look, the Three Stooges are going to be playing. Shit, man. June 25th, July 2nd, the Three Stooges. July 2nd through 3rd, Ricky Nelson. July 6th through 10th, the Lennon Sisters. Well, that's not quite as cool, but they're pretty enough. July 11th through 17th, Frankie Avalon. July 18th through 24th, Bobby Rydell. July 23rd through 24th, Dick Clark. July 24th through 30th, Anita Bryant and the Crew Cuts. I remember must have been around 1976. Remember that controversy? Anita Bryant was the spokesperson for orange juice, for Florida oranges. And she'd say, a day without a Florida orange is like a day without sunshine. And she made some anti-gay comments or something, or said it was a sin, and that was an early example of the cancel culture. They really tried to come after her. Look, you have Conway Twitty, July 31st to August 6th. Johnny Cash, August 14th through 20th. Pat Boone, well. July 2nd through 4th, Fabian, Dick Roman. Who else we got here? And then they've got orchestras. You got Buddy Morrow, Woody Herman, Glenn Ross, Gene Krupa, Louis Armstrong, Billy May, who a few years later would, do the... Billy May did the music for the 3rd season of Batman, the season that had Batgirl. The music in that season is phenomenal, but it's never been released in any way, you can't get... I don't know, I wish that someone that works at 20th Century Fox or wherever could find those tapes. Dorsey's, Glenn Miller. Well, that's kind of cheating. Glenn Miller died in World War II, but I guess it's his orchestra. Oh, Direction Lee Castle. Okay, that's kind of like saying Buddy Holly and the Crickets, except Buddy Holly's not with us anymore. It's not quite... Oh, and Dion and the Belmonts is coming April 17th. Paul Anka, Kathy Carr. Wow. You got diving horses. What a wonderful day. Donald Trump rally in just a little bit. Oh, look at this. If you like 50s rock and roll, I got tons of 50s teen magazines. There's the Three Stooges. Except it's that idiot. I never liked that guy, man. This is 1960. That must have been about the time they were doing those Saturday morning cartoons, Three Stooges. I mean, Moe and Larry were still around and still kind of looked like Moe and Larry, but of course Curly had passed away, and so had Shemp, and they got this guy Curly Joe. No offense to him. Ooh. Okay. Hold on. 1 second. We got an autograph here. I'm trying to figure out who the hell it is. It says, to Kathy Sue, best of luck from somebody of the Crest. Okay, it's one of the members of the band The Crest. And The Crest, didn't they do 16 Candles? I think so. That was a great song. So anyway, this is autographed by one of the members of The Crest. It's got this little supplement in here. There's the steel pier. Is that still there? I assume it is. Oh, this is the schedule for the Dick Clark rock show. Bobby Rydell, Jimmy Clanton, Johnny and the Hurricanes, and The Crest. Yeah. Time 2:10. Okay, so when Dick Clark performed, he brought in The Crest. And it was Saturday, July 23rd, 1960. Where are the fucking Crest? They don't have a picture of them. I guess this is who came with Dick Clark. They even have a Western Star. Peter Breck is Clay Colhane. Earl Grant. Yeah, I know Earl Grant. Oh, there's another one. And another member of the Crest signed it on this page. To Kathy from Chuck of the Crest. Anyway. Sometimes it's cool. You'll find autographs inside. Ripley's Believe It or Not presents Russian automobiles captured, smuggled. See the Russian Pobeda. See the Russian Zis. Oh, and Miss America was there too. Oh, I think there's another signature. No, I'm wrong. This is a great Coke ad. And this has great graphics as well. Look at that. New Jersey State Fair. Okay, so I'm a big fan of the Crest. Let me see. Let me double check here. Yeah, they did 16 Candles. Here's, I won't play the music so I don't get a copyright problem. Well, here's the Crest. So 2 of these guys signed that book that you... Okay, so they were 2 white guys and 2 African American guys. They were it's very unusual. And they had a great sound. I'll play us, 16 Candles. I'll play a little bit of it. That's a commercial. Shut up. Shut up. Video will play after ad. You sons of bitches. Yeah. Actually, it might be 3 African American guys and 1 white guy. Not a great song. Kind of got a new lease in life. It was used in a great scene in American Graffiti. Oh, it's a great scene where you're at Mel's Drive-In, and it just the 16 Candles is wafting through the air, and the cars are all pulling in at dark in that drive-in. It's such a great song. I love that song. And I've got 2 signatures. How about that? Yeah, watch American Graffiti, and I mean, it's just like that. What using old music in movies had been, well, Martin Scorsese had done it in Mean Streets, but it was a new, innovative thing. John Waters was about to. John Waters had done it in Pink Flamingos. In his movies, he used old music. I don't know if he had permission for it, but the cool thing about what George Lucas did is he had it the way it would have sounded then. You know, if there's one rock and roll station and every car that's passing is playing that station, and it's coming from the speaker down the street, and it's coming here, you'd hear the sound getting louder and echoing from over here, and then the car would come and you'd hear the sound getting louder, and the way that the sound design was done in that movie was just fantastic. Okay, so now anyway, let's see, what else do I have to show you? Trying to get back to Right Side Broadcasting, because okay, here's some cracked magazines. Here's a whole one of John Severin's art. But the cracked magazines are in the closet, and so are the Mads. So these need to go over here. Right Side Broadcasting. So how are you guys doing today? Well, I'm glad to hear it. That's wonderful. Here's Castle of Frankenstein number 2. I was just wondering, where's my Castle of Frankenstein number 2 the other night? I think I have 2 copies of this. Castle of Frankenstein is one of my favorite monster magazines. Right up there with Monster Times and, of course, Famous Monsters. The Visible 3D Human Body. But here it is, Castle of Frankenstein number 2. I was laughing about I was calling him Joe Biden the other night, so I have another one here, apparently. I'm pretty darn sure. Where is that? Anyway, so I have 2 copies of it. Wow, someone's cut this one. So I'm glad I have 2. Someone cut a picture out of it. Damn. Yeah, look at this ad. Yeah, that's very disappointing. I need to find the other one to find out there's a little comic story in here. I want to find out what picture was cut out. What was so cool about that one picture that someone had to cut it out? That's what my quest. I know it's over here because I think I showed it on 4 Color Fossils Wednesday. Oh boy. Last time the show ended about an hour and 19 minutes into it, so this show may end at any point because I don't have much memory left on my phone. So, I may need to bid you a fond farewell. I'll go ahead and say goodbye now, and who knows, maybe we'll go for another 10-15 minutes. Okay. Here's Monster World. That's what Wednesday Addams is supposed to look like, ladies and gentlemen. Christina Ricci did a great job, but this Wednesday Addams that's in some series that's starting in a couple of days. First of all, she's ugly. Second of all, she's just a murderer, I don't like that. Here's a Frank Frazetta anti-smoking ad. Look at that. Look at this full-page ad for the Wonder Woman model kit. This was a companion magazine to Famous Monsters from the mid-60s. This is what I'm talking about, the wonderful ads at the back of Warren. That was one of the great things about Warren, is they just had like 15, 20 pages of fantastic cannons. You can order cannons. All these record albums. I think every one of these record albums you can listen to on YouTube. That one's really good. Music for Robots. It's narrated by Forrest J. Ackerman on side 1, but if you listen to the second side on YouTube, it's great science fiction sound effects, robot noises. It will really annoy some people, but I think it's wonderful. I played it in the background on this show before. Anyway, I don't know. In a few days, we'll know everything. We'll know about what the Rob Zombie Monsters movie is like. We'll have seen the Marilyn Monroe movie that they're coming out with. That's some X-rated Marilyn Monroe movie that's coming to Netflix. This is a little... They'd have these little comic strips based on movies in Monster World. And it was kind of cool the way they do it. It's almost like a little, seeing the movie. It's very well done, actually. I think Wally Wood did put these together. Did he do this one? See, this is an adaptation of Horror of Dracula, is what it is. So that's what made this a little different from Famous Monsters, is the... I don't see Wally Wood credited here, but if you... this special edition of Horror of Party Beach, this is Wally Wood. You can tell that's Wally Wood just from the way that word horror looks. But he put together... He was the designer of this, and... so he did little, enhance the photographs a little bit, and he turned this into a very cool comic book adaptation using photographs of the movie Horror of Party Beach. In fact, it makes it look even better than the movie really is. And I love the movie, but he makes it look like it's a $1 million movie, and a lot scarier than it really is. It just, I guess he had access to a print of the movie or something. Look at this. It looks great. So that's that. And then he also did this Mole People one. And then there's another one that I have somewhere that has Christopher Lee Dracula, and I think the reptile, like, here's a Stan Lee book, Monster Madness. This is early 70s. Alas, poor Yorick. It's just full page photos from movies. It says, hi, I have a gift from your welcome wagon. It's saying you can get anything with MasterCharge. MasterCard used to be called MasterCharge. He's saying, all right, you win, no more ethnic jokes, he's saying. Here's another copy of Monster World. Full page ad for the Guillotine model kit. These masks you can get, and now for 1965 you can get these Munsters masks that they don't really look like that. These are actually the masks that you would get, and they're pretty damn good, but Trust me, you weren't going to look exactly like the actors if you get them in. Man. This is just heaven, looking through monster magazines. It's a wonderful rainy morning. Well, the rain stopped. I'm looking forward to going to the barbecue restaurant later, seeing Donald Trump. Then tomorrow, there's a car show, like a antique car show downtown, and a teenage dance or something on, I don't know if it's going to be on the streets or what, but all the cars are going to be just a block from here. So I'll film that for you guys. And there's going to be some band called the Silver Bullet Band, so I guess they're going to be like a Bob Seger kind of, I mean, they used the actual name. It's not going to be Bob Seger's backup band, trust me. It's going to be a band inspired by whatever, man. Monster World. June of 1965. So this, oh, you know, this was probably on the newsstand when my mother gave birth to me, because I was born in April 65, and magazines and comics are usually dated 2 months in advance. So it's sacred to me. Oh my gosh. Anyway, these are now considered, I think there's about 10 issues. So Famous Monsters and Monster World were on the stand at the same time. It didn't last, and they now count the numbers of the Monster World as somewhere in the 70s of Famous Monsters. They count this as part of the numbering of Famous Monsters now. They did that so that Forrest J. Ackerman, the editor, could get to issue 100 of Famous Monsters quicker, so he could have his big, thick special issue for the 100th. Yeah, shoot on that. Here's Monster World. You can tell this is 1966. What tips you off is obviously Batman. Now, the weird thing about Warren magazines, yeah, they got all the things that were pop. Some asshole did the puzzle. Zachary, Bride, Frankenstein, Terrors, Orlax. Anyway. I'm sorry. I mean, they got Batman in these. They got the Munsters, the Addams Family, all the things that were popular. But you know, Zacherle's all over these early issues. But you know what it's London After Midnight. It's a lost film. They never put Star Trek into these. And it had monsters in it. And Star Trek was never on the cover of Famous Monsters until like 1979, when Star Trek the Motion Picture came out. And that's weird, because Forrest J. Ackerman was first and foremost a science fiction guy. So I don't know. That was a weird deal. Not that Star Trek was that big a hit on television. It really wasn't, or else it would have lasted longer than it did. Look at this ad. They made a reproduction of this a few years ago, and now that thing's super valuable. Just a gigantic the people call it Big Frankie. The collectors call it that. Here's an ad for that Horror of Party Beach. Yeah, then Monster World also would do actual comic adaptations of these movies. This is an adaptation of The Mummy's Hand by Russ Jones and Joe Orlando. So, this is Universal Horror. Yeah, so. The movie that's coming on Netflix in a few days does not have Eddie or Marilyn, because it's set, before he's born, when Herman first meets Lily. But if Eddie Munster is like 8, 9 years old in 1964, then the the movie should take place in the mid-1950s, and I bet that it's, well, I know it isn't, because I see Herman making references to wanting to boogie, oogie, oogie, to, like, you know, and disco references, and they're doing karaoke of Sonny and Cher, so. Come on, Rob Zombie, you're one of us. You grew up with all the same stuff. You should know better than that. Set it in the 50s. This is Charlton, I believe. Yes. You can tell it's Charlton by these weird numbers that probably mean something to the Antichrist. This is Charlton's foray into monster magazines. They got a pretty good painting there. It just would have been much better if it was bigger, you know, if it filled, I would have probably cropped it and made him much bigger on the page instead of this puke green. I bought this when I was a kid, and I remember how cheap it looked. I mean, look how cheap that looks. This reeks of Tony Tallarico. Tony Tallarico is some people hate Rob Liefeld, you know, some people hate Gil Kane. I love Gil Kane, Rob Liefeld, yeah. But Tony Tallarico is this guy that does lettering like that. He's just a shitty artist. My mother bought me a book on how to draw comic strips and comic books. I wish I could find it. I haven't been able to find it. Even back in the old country, I couldn't find it. I don't know if it's here. I mean, it was written by Tony Tallarico, and it's like, I got it in 6th grade, and I thought, I can draw better than this asshole. And so it starts a comic strip, and then it wants you to finish it. And I would finish it, would look much better, and I would finish it in a much more perverse way. Oh, this was a show I never saw. There was a show called Korg, 70,000 AD on Saturday morning television, and it was about cavemen. There were 3 in the same year, in 73, or was it 74? There was Land of the Lost, which I watched. There was Valley of the Dinosaurs. There was a Hanna-Barbera, people meeting dinosaurs. I think it was a lot like Land of the Lost, but I never watched it. And I never saw this live-action Korg show. They were, see here it's got what they're supposed to look like. Somebody's bad production design. But anyway, maybe it's on YouTube. Korg, 70,000. But yeah, it was looked like that. So that means there was something on the other channel at the same time. Maybe it was on against Land of the Lost, and Land of the Lost won because it was stop motion animation. They reused that painting. This is a marvelous location for my McDracula Batburger restaurant. That's hilarious, man. Yeah, this is oh yeah, here it is. Shit. Oh, this is not, yeah, okay. The Monster Comics World of Jose Delbo. But anyway, I guess he must have written this. This is Tony Tallarico art. I just don't like his art. I think he has some significance in comic book history because I think he did a comic book called Lobo that was the first, don't get me lying, it was an African-American Western hero, and I don't know if it was the first time an African-American hero was featured as the title character of a comic book. It might have been, so, and that was done by Tony Tallarico, so he's remembered for that. He also did a superhero version of Dracula and a superhero version of Frankenstein, and one of the Wolfman too, where he was or werewolf, where he was like a secret agent or something, and it was pretty horrible. Here's but fun. Those are fun comics. They're just not good comics. There's Kolchak the Night Stalker. That was something I loved as a kid. There's a picture in here that's horrifying though. If I can find it. I remember it horrified me as a kid and made me feel like, should I really? Oh, that's what this is. There was a trend in the 70s to do That was called Blaxploitation. And so there was Dracula, so there was Blackula, and Scream, Blackula, Scream. There was Frankenstein, there was Blackenstein, and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Black. There were these African-American takes on the horror movies and everything. And then there was Shaft, which was like a black James Bond. Anyway, The Exorcist was a big hit, so they made a movie called Abby. And William Marshall, who had played Blackula and also later played the King of Cartoons in the Pee Wee Herman's Playhouse, played The Exorcist. But these pictures from I remember thinking, that's horrifying. This woman vomiting. And I mean, that picture really disturbed me as a kid. But she was not a little girl that was possessed by the devil. She was a full-grown woman, and I think the movie is not as horrifying as this. Anyway, for years, the movie, they were sued by Warner Brothers for making it too close to The Exorcist, and it was just taken from release, and there was no way to see this movie. Now I think you could probably just watch it on YouTube. It's available now, Abby, and I think it had another name too, ABBY. Anyway, that's what I remember, being horrified by that picture of the woman of the strings of vomit coming out of it. It's like, nobody wants to see that. Come on, this is a magazine aimed at kids. Oh my gosh. Where is that Castle of Frankenstein number 2, ladies and gentlemen? Is that the Fuhrer's face playing? This is music that played in roller rinks in the 50s. There was a record label called Rinks, R-I-N-X, that played, and it was distributed. Roller rinks would subscribe to the Rinks records, and they'd get several records, or more than a few, maybe each month, and then they'd add them to then they'd have a record changer, just keep dropping the 45s down, and then they'd have music in their roller rink if they were too cheap to hire an organ player, or when the organ player was taking a smoke and drink break, taking a shit break. I don't know, because this is what was in roller rinks until the maybe late 60s, early 70s, when it went to pop hits. I know in the 70s, by the time I was a kid, they were playing disco in roller rinks, and it was a roller disco kind of shit. Yes, indeed. Okay, I think there's a box of Castle of Frankenstein there. This is that Dynamite company. They made a comic, Draculina, and I was buying it for a while until I got to the point where I was no longer able to go to comic stores because usually Dynamite has great covers and the interior art is shitty, and the art inside looked like it wasn't too bad. So I thought maybe I'll give a shot of this new comic, and so I have the first few issues. But then after April of this year, I just had no access to comic stores, and I really need to get a copy of the Action Comics #1 replica and this Fantastic Four book when it comes out from Alex Ross. I'm hoping I can do that, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, man. Soon I'll do a feature on these Dynamite magazines, because they're related to comic books, and that they would always have a comic book feature in here. Like in this issue, they give you the origin of Captain America, and just a 2-page deal, and then they have questions and answers about Captain America, and every issue it would have something about Marvel Comics in here, and then it would have all this other stuff that appeals to kids in 1974. Yeah, it covers all the stuff that was popular. Damn it. Look at this. The best of. These were the reproduction way they did reproductions in the 70s. They kind of look like photocopies, but that's the best that they could do. This is stuff from Fawcett, you know, the real Captain Marvel. Here's a Blackhawk one. I think they were from a company called Nostalgia Press. When the Spice Girls came out, there were a lot of people that thought maybe this is a return to 1960s girl groups and cool music, because their music wasn't bad. I mean, honestly, if you listen to it, honestly, so that, you know, this Peter Bagg got all these underground artists together that liked the Spice Girls, and they put this magazine out. And it was not done ironically. I'm trying to explain why I like their music, and it's like I'm almost apologetic about it. I shouldn't have to be. Why I'm Gaga over Baby Spice. It's by Ariel Greenberg. But here's it's all comic strips about the Spice Girls. It's interesting. Famous Monster of England, Scary Spice. You know, Peter Bagg of Hate. Oh, and I thought, where are all my other hates? I had them with the Undergrounds. Oh, I'll show you. Yeah. Anyway, the Spice Tubbies. It's just like, it's great. Look at this. If only they hadn't broken up. If only, you know. I liked their movie. I was like fucking nuts about them. Look at this. It's all, it's called Spice Capades. Yeah, I got this magazine just about Ginger Spice. How about that? There's no, I'm not hiding anything from you. Actually, I have 2 copies of Spice Capades. Here's Ginger Spice on this. Bunch of that. What else is in here? Oh, this is cool. I showed this before, I think. Near Mint. It's $3. This is a fanzine for students, fans, pros, comic books, old movies, art. This is from 1980. All kinds of stuff in here. Like, oh, cool. Look at this. Thing on Alex Toth. They've got his art, his like storyboards for Super Friends. Yeah. Cool stuff. Hold on a second. Oh, cool. I think I saw some of these going for... This has a little crease because this was sent in the mail, but I think that this is something that's well over $1,000, if not close to $2,000. I mean, it's always going to have a subscription label. That's where I was living and at that time. This is Foom, Friends of Old Marvel. It was Marvel's fan club, and this was their magazine, Foom. And this is all about the new X-Men, but this is before Giant Size X-Men #1, and so technically, you know, this is the first appearance of Storm here. There's a Marie Severin drawing. I love her art. Yeah, it's an X-Men issue, and they have a little parody comic. It's not quite on par with not Brandak, but yeah, the fan art gallery. Okay, here's a 2-page spread that shows Storm. Yeah, there's Wolverine. So this is really Wolverine's 3rd appearance. He'd been in 2 issues of The Incredible Hulk. Well, that's probably not going to help with the value. This chunk gone from... But in my defense, this was done by the mailmen. Because... Oh, actually, I was still living in San Antonio. You look up that address, you can see my... that house, my father had it built. He kind of designed it and designed the landscaping and everything. It's on Portrait Court in San Antonio. That's where the Great Awakening happened. 3rd and 4th grade, I lived at that address in San Antonio, and boy, that's when I discovered Star Trek and Marvel superheroes and wacky packages and 50s rock and roll, because American Graffiti came out and my brother bought the soundtrack album. That's where I discovered the Beach Boys, because my other brother had an 8-track of Endless Summer. That's where I morphed more into what I am now. And the things I loved then in 3rd and 4th grade, I still love today. Look at this cosplay of the Man-Thing. That's what he should look like in that fucking Werewolf by Night show. I hear he's gonna be in Werewolf by Night, but there's a good old Stan the Man. Yeah, you're not gonna find 9.8 copies of this too much, because this was mailed to people, and you know, it's like, this is the condition it showed up to me in. This is a parody of X-Men called the Eggsmen. So whatever, dude. This is the new issues that were coming out that month. Yeah, I think when you became a member of FOOM, you got a subscription for like 4 or 5 issues, but they just kept sending it to me. They didn't stop, you know, for a long time. And then when they stopped, Lone Star Comics, when it opened in the summer of '77, they actually carried it and had it on the newsstand. So the ones I bought off the newsstand, those should be in 9.8 condition for all you slabbing idiots. I want to slab all my comics because I hate reading. I just want to look at the covers, man. Look at this, Wally. Oh, look at that. See, that was not me either. I guarantee you. I bought it this way, but it's the Wallace Wood Treasury. It's a cover from Spaceman. It's got all kinds of great Wally Wood art in it. Man, if I was watching this show, I'd be pretty impressed with the shit I'm showing today. It's not typical shit. This is actually a pretty good episode. The stuff I'm showing you is pretty cool, if I do say so myself. Space Detective. Wish I had some of those kind. Oh, that's nice. Look at that. Anyway. Please. Here's a very fan looking thing with the staples. That's how I did my magazine, The Sophisticate. I had staples like that. But this is just a collection of Frank Frazetta art. That's how people had to roll back then, because, you know, this is how. This was a simpler time, ladies and gentlemen. There was no internet. There were no cell phones. I love this Tarzan picture. Yeah, I like that. Frank Frazetta. What else is in this box of joy? Oh, here's an issue of Rocket Blast Comic Collector, RBCC. Look at that. I always like that cover. Nice artwork. This one has a lot of cool stuff. It's cool, this interview. I like the cool background of the bachelor apartment of Von Baudet. I used to pronounce it Bode. I guess it's Baudet. There's a little accent mark. I never hear anyone pronounce it. But he was like the Jim Morrison of underground comic art. He was... this reprints a Basil Wolverton story. I like this page that introduces the horror reprint, Museum of Horrors. It's the only way you could read this shit back then. This is this issue is something I bought at Lone Star Comics when they first opened. This is a letter from Steven Spielberg congratulating them for their coverage of Close Encounters. So that would date this after, July of '78, because I think Close Encounters came out at like Christmas of '77 or January of '78. It was not long after Star Wars. Oh, speaking of Wally Wood, here's, I think these are pretty easy to find. Heroes Incorporated. These were done for the for GIs, so they're a little more racy than the average comic. A little more nudity. Here's a special Joe Orlando issue of The Amazing World of DC Comics. This was DC's version of Foom. This was their house fan publication, but it was actually put out by the company. There's a House of Mystery cover. And it has all about the... Oh, here's a... How they're showing early... that's Warlord. Showing how a comic's put together. Of course, Joe Orlando started with EC Comics, and then he, they're showing Judgment Day, the famous EC story, and then he turned DC's